Hello and welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is American Ben. Before we get to the end of our Strongest Alien series, I had to give in and do the Protoss, or I wouldn't have felt like this series was complete, especially having done the Zerg. Now, I don't want to bias you, but I just don't like the Protoss. They annoy me and they seem like self-righteous douches, but they're really strong. To catch you up if you don't know, the Protoss are an intelligent alien race that was discovered on the planet Ire by an evil xel'naga named Amon, who then, for the benefit of the xel'naga, pushed forward the evolution of the Protoss and set them on a course to become the advanced alien race they are in the Starcraft universe. But for all you Inquisitors out there, they're still savage Xenos. Anyway, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell if you enjoy this video. Let's start with the advantages. First and foremost with the Protoss, they're mind readers. The Protoss are highly intelligent and can process vast amounts of information simultaneously, but they also have psychic power as well. Well, aside from the dumbass Nerazim, a sect of the Protoss who broke off from their brethren and rejected the Kala, the Protoss system of belief. The Nerazim, or Dark Templar, cut their psionic appendages like Jerry Springer guests who identify as amputees. The Protoss don't just use their psionic abilities to read minds either. Rather, their powers are quite broad. They can use them to charge their weapons, shield themselves, and even manipulate matter. As a psychic race, the Protoss are naturally good at communication. They are psionically connected to one another, and if in range, the Protoss can talk to each other with their minds and sense each other's emotions. As I just mentioned, there is a range to this ability, but the Protoss invented psychic boosters that can extend their psionic reach for ship-wide broadcasts. Furthermore, they also have psi-link spires that are used for communication across space. The Protoss have more than mastered intergalactic communication and thus have tight control over their empire. The Protoss are well known for their technology in general, actually, something that sets them apart by far from the Zerg and even from the Terrans. They are one of the most technologically advanced races in any universe, let alone the most advanced in their universe. As they are a psychic race, the tech is powered partly by science and partly by psionic power. The Protoss are spiritually and cognitively bonded with their machines. One of the Protoss's best innovations is their armor. Zealots, their standard soldiers, wear powered military suits. These suits are highly durable but are also equipped with a plasma shield generator for extra reinforcement. The suits also have navigation 2, medical tech, a respirator, and compression technology. The suit enhances the wearer's psionic abilities as well. The Protoss's armor actually works similar to that of the Necrons in a way. When a Protoss nears death, psionically calibrated warp stones on the armor's surface transport the injured Protoss to a safe location for healing. Of course, some of those injured Protoss who are more gravely injured can always return to the fight in a Dragoon shell, pilotable assault walkers. When it comes to their technology in general, the Protoss have been very wise. They have purposely been patient in its advancement in order to make sure they understand and master every tool they create before developing more. Their society is completely Elon Musk types free. The Protoss have actually mastered most of the things that other alien races struggle with. For instance, superluminal travel. The Protoss can enter the dimension of warp space at a specific point and exit it very close to their destination. Travel times are thus not an obstacle for the Protoss. The Protoss have such control of warp space that they can open warp space rifts on the surface of planets using warp beacons and use these rifts to warp ships, weapons, structures, and soldiers right onto the battlefield. They don't have to physically deliver these things to their army on the ground by traveling through a planet's atmosphere. Protoss ships are some of the most impressive structures ever built. Their mothership is just less than 2 miles long, equal to an amount of kilometers I don't care about, hashtag the metric system is fake news, and serves as an adept support ship on the battlefield. At its core sits a crystal filled with psionic energy that projects a cloaking field around itself and nearby Protoss soldiers and structures, rendering all invisible. The ship also has a purifier beam that can destroy planets, and despite being a big ship, motherships can use inertial nullifiers to enter atmospheres and actively take part in planetary battles. I'd probably be remiss if I didn't mention the Spear of Adun. The Spear is a massive warship known as an arc ship. It's almost 46 miles long, or whatever kilometers. This ship is built to preserve Protoss society and can carry an entire Protoss civilization, including multiple armies and fleets of smaller ships, including motherships. The Spear can sustain itself for ages, and while it's an obvious target, it can defend itself. It features a harvesting beam, thermal lances, time bombs, purifier beams, solar lances, time stop, and everything else that would kill you, including going out and getting a stable job. The ship can serve as a backup generator for all structures on the battlefield and has a weapons factory inside of it. The Protoss are also super adaptable and resilient, a trait that goes along with their near 1,000-year lifespans. Harsh environments do not faze the Protoss. They can sit in hotter saunas than Joe Rogan. Okay, maybe not Joe Rogan. They do need light for sustenance, but this isn't a flaw because simply turning off the lights won't kill them. They can survive for long periods of time sans light. Physically, the Protoss are strong and fast and have deadly sharp claws, an ode to their more savage days. The Protoss might be intelligent elitists in mind, but remember, once an alien scum, always an alien scum. Remember that when some seemingly well-meaning alien is begging at your feet for his life. Okay, Protoss flaws, because while we might say the Protoss are highly intelligent aliens, they're still aliens, and thus dumb bugs. The first flaw is that the Protoss have a declining population. They are capable of living for 1,000 years or more naturally, but due to constant conflict they die quite frequently. Additionally, they are not prolific producers of offspring. The Protoss are what the Eldar aspire to be, completely restrained, calm, and wise. Too wise for their own good, as they don't grow their population quickly and they are engaged in constant war. They are losing numbers and weakening because of it. The next issue related to the previous one is that the Protoss are not a very unified population. We've already discussed the Nerazim, the Dark Templar who rejected the Khala, the Protoss system of belief, were exiled from the larger Protoss population, now known as Kalai, and cut their psionic appendages. Well, there's also the tal'darim, or the Forged, who abandoned the Khala as well to follow Amon, the evil xel'naga douche. The tal'darim might have turned on Amon eventually, but still, they are a distinct group from the Kalai Protoss. Having populations break off into new sects isn't necessarily always a flaw, but given the Protoss have a declining population, such factionalization is greatly injurious to the Protoss cause. Even worse, there is always the chance that Protoss can end up fighting Protoss. United, the Protoss are incredibly hard to defeat, but if you have fire to fight fire, the challenge is much lessened. The Kalai are also a fairly homogeneous group, not just in appearance but in thought and behavior. If the existing groups of the Protoss can unify, they would be exponentially more powerful and more well-balanced. And this has happened before, specifically during the End War, in which the Allied forces were victorious against Amon. The potential of a unified Protoss population knows no bounds. As we alluded to in the last flaw, despite being an intelligent race, the Kalai Protoss are slow to change their ways. They are a conservative religious society with a rigid system of belief. One cannot simply deviate from the Khala freely, as we saw with the Nerazim, who were exiled for their rejection of the accepted religion. Actually, they were supposed to be executed for their heresy, but they were quietly sent away from Ire instead. The Nerazim were happy to live amongst their Kalai brethren and would have been valuable members of society, as we just discussed, but they were kicked out for anti-intellectual reasons. The Kalai will put the Khala before their best interests. As smart as they are, the Protoss need to be able to evolve and adapt their ways based on their surroundings and the state of their reality. Instead, they seem to be willing to doom themselves for the sake of the Khala if necessary. The religious principles the Kalai follow require them to be great stewards of the universe, a principle known as Dai-Ul, and to follow the path of ascension, the principle of Khala. The Protoss live up to this calling, leading them to comport themselves in a noble manner and maintain strict discipline. However, because of these principles, they will also act to protect weaker races in the galaxy, and they expend their resources and soldiers when not necessary to do so. This might make the Protoss nice guys, but it also means they don't run their society as efficiently as possible. A Xeno race is only as powerful as its self-imposed rules. The Tyranids spend no time wasting resources on anyone or anything but themselves, and overrun planets on a daily. The Protoss might be one of the most powerful alien races, but they limit themselves with their principles. Finally, the last flaw is robots. I should be able to end it right there, but I'll explain. As the Protoss lack numbers and actually have a declining population, they often have to rely on advanced technology to compete on the battlefield, and more specifically, they need robots to do much of the fighting dirty work. A few automatons in your employ is one thing, an entire race is another. Needing a boost in their soldier ranks, the Protoss created the Purifiers, a robotic race with similar forms to the Protoss. The Purifiers were created to replicate the greatest warriors in Protoss history, and thus create an ultimate fighting force. Now, as of now, this might sound like an advantage, a race of robotic soldiers superior to many of your actual soldiers. What could go wrong? If you're going to have a robot army, then you have to have absolute control over them, and the Protoss do not. And guess what? The Purifiers weren't happy being treated as robots, as tools for the mere benefit of the Protoss, and so they rebelled. The rebellion was quashed, but the fact stands that the Protoss run the risk of this happening again and again, and given the advanced artificial intelligence involved, these robot soldiers will most likely never truly be loyal to them. The Protoss also have massive robotic walkers in their army that are designed to obliterate mass amounts of ground targets like ants. These bots, known as colossi, are an advantage most of the time, but the Protoss don't have full control over them either, and many Protoss feel that they will eventually rise up against them as well. PSA to all of you out there, keep your robots in line, but don't mistreat them. If your Roomba is acting up, turn it off. Don't smack it, because when you do, you threaten all of our futures. Okay everybody, it's time to rate the Protoss on a scale of 1 to 5. Click somewhere up there in order to do so. Remember to like this video as well if you liked it, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. For now, my name is American Ben, and I'll catch you next time. Generation Films, peace.